Now, when Ed Miliband in the Commons yesterday asked the famously wealthy members of the Cabinet to raise their hands if they'd gained from the cut in the 50p tax rate, he got no takers. So when George Osborne made himself available for one of his increasingly rare interviews this morning, he faced the same challenge, and this time declared that he did not qualify for the top rate. Our political correspondent Michael Crick has been investigating just what the Chancellor is really worth and why he's not a top-rate taxpayer.
Will David Cameron gain from axing the 50p tax rate? In Cumbria today, he repeatedly refused to say.
My own salary, it's all published, it's on the record. I cut it by 5%, I've frozen it for the whole of the Parliament, and I'm quite content to leave it there. But all my interests are declared, and all of them are known about.
So you're
Thank you.
benefiting from the 50p tax break.
Meanwhile, back at Westminster, Ed Balls resumed the attack on George Osborne with some questionable knockabout.
The Chancellor is not Robin Hood. He's the Sheriff of Nottingham. And as for jobs and growth, he couldn't give a friar tuck, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
But earlier, Mr. Osborne had insisted he personally wouldn't gain from axing the 50p rate.
I am not a big winner from this budget. I'm not a winner from this budget. But you know, that is.
But you are a 50p tax rate payer. I'm
not actually. No.
Personally, I'm not a 50p rate taxpayer, but I'm not, concentrating on my tax fares. I'm concentrating on the tax fares of the whole country.
Surprising when Osborne owns 15% of his family wallpaper business with this shop in Chelsea. His ministerial salary is just over £134,000, the same as most cabinet members, and that rate is frozen till 2015. And on top of possible extra income from the family firm, Mr. Osborne also declares rent from a London property. That's his former family home, bought for £2 million with his wife 6 years ago in Notting Hill, a place where sometimes Range Rovers clock up 4 parking tickets. The rent on a property like this could be tens of thousands of pounds a year, but that can be offset, of course, against mortgage interest and other costs. So the taxable profit on Mr. Osborne's property could be negligible, or nothing at all. As for his shares in the family wallpaper business, well, that made a loss last year and didn't pay out a dividend. And even if the business does start paying dividends again, Mr. Osborne at worst would have to pay the dividend top rate of 42.5%, well short of 50p in the pound. Nor are his Grace and Favour homes, Dorney Wood and Number 11, taxable, though Mr. Osborne is taxed on services he gets when living there. Other ministers who might earn enough to pay the top rate include William Hague, the Northern Ireland Secretary Owen Paterson, and the Cabinet Office Minister Francis Maude. And spouses who may pay the 50% rate include Samantha Cameron, a creative director with a stationery firm, and Miriam Clegg, a top city lawyer. With good accountants, perhaps few of these pay the top rate, which rather makes the government's point about how few people do pay it.
Well, one organisation happy with George Osborne's budget is the drugs giant GlaxoSmithKline, which says it will invest £500 million in Britain because of the proposed tax changes. The Prime Minister went to Ulverston in Cumbria, where the company will open its first new British manufacturing facility in 40 years, creating up to 1,000 jobs. Glaxo says the government's plan for a 10% tax reduction on profits generated from British discoveries or inventions transformed the company's view of the UK.